We found out last night that the NDP and the Liberals were meeting secretly, and they've cooked up a backroom deal that would see Justin Trudeau get the majority power that he tried desperately to get last fall in the last election, but he failed to get. This deal means that Canadians have woken up to, in essence, an NDP Liberal majority government. And I think we have to let that sink in. This is an NDP Liberal government, and they have the majority. 82% of voters did not vote for a Liberal NDP government, including millions of Liberal voters. These Canadians woke up this morning to the fact that they have been hoodwinked and they've been deceived by their Prime Minister. Now, let me be clear, this is nothing more than a Justin Trudeau power grab. He is desperately clinging to power. His number one goal, as we have seen over the course of the last 6 years, is always to do what's best for him, not to do what's best for Canadians. Now, make no mistake, the NDP are in charge. What does this mean? Well, it means the decimation of Canadian oil and gas and LNG, which we know this more than ever. That means that is really a way to prop up Putin and Russia. When the NDP Liberal government phase out, which means destroy Canadian oil, gas, and LNG, they are helping Russia. And that was one of the top priorities they had, and that Justin Trudeau has agreed to. It means mining, agriculture, fisheries are all next under the extreme policies of the NDP, which are now Liberal policies. It also means $214 billion, just that we know of, in new spending for Canadians. And that's who's going to be spending. That's who's going to be bearing the brunt of the new NDP Liberal government. All of which for Canadians means more debt, more inflation, more jobs lost, more uncertainty, and frankly, more polarization. This is not a good day for Canadians.
Why the need to make this official? I know you don't call it a coalition, you call it a supply and confidence agreement, but why not just continue to prop up the Liberals on most motions without selling your soul, as it were, according to the opposition?
Well, it's not at all anything like that. What this is it's an agreement. It's never been contemplated, and I've never asked for a coalition, and nor would I have accepted one. This is an agreement to get things done. This is using our power in a minority government to get help to people. And the help that we needed to get to people is help that's going to take some time. And so it's not good enough to have a vote-by-vote scenario when we want to do something big.
There are a lot of Liberals that are coming to me and saying they're very worried about the economic direction under a Justin Trudeau government. I cannot imagine this morning how they are feeling knowing that we now have a Jagmeet Singh led, because he's basically going to be the Deputy Prime Minister. This is a formal written agreement. We now have a NDP Liberal government in charge. So I am fairly certain there are literally millions of Liberal voters, including some Liberal members of Parliament, who have got to be very concerned this morning. And I mean, we already have seen Trudeau in his policy move further and further to the left. This is a man who wasn't joking when he said he doesn't think about monetary policy. This is a man that was not joking when he says he admires China's basic dictatorship. He admires very left, very extreme ways of governing and governance. And so when he has now formed a formal agreement with the NDP government, with the NDP party, who's now basically the government, he has deceived Canadians. And I think there's got to be a lot of concern, not just with Canadians, but with Liberal voters themselves. What lengths will this man go to cling to power?
Are you more aligned with Mr. Trudeau than people might believe, in terms of this deal seemed to come together like a couple of guys sitting around, talking about things over a beer? I mean, that's the characterization here. Is this two meetings of the mind?
Well, I don't drink alcohol, so that wouldn't work. But I can tell you, but I can tell you that I believe very strongly that people sent us to Ottawa to get work done for people. They sent us here to get them help. And I've heard from people saying, we are feeling less secure, we're feeling worried, we need help. And this is a deal to get people help. And we used our power to get help to people. And I do have to acknowledge that the Prime Minister showed a willingness to work together. But this is us forcing and pushing and using our power to get help to people.
But I believe it goes to the heart of our democracy. The Liberals and the NDP had and have an obligation to be honest and transparent and tell Canadians this is what they've been cooking up. And they didn't do that. They cannot be trusted. These parties cannot be trusted. Neither of these men can be trusted to do what's best for the country.